The rain tasted like rust. Jedediah Stone spat, wiping his mouth with the back of his hand. The storm had broken hours ago, turning the barge earth into a slick, clinging mud. He's been tracking a man for 3 days, a prospector named Roan Davies, who's taken to calling himself a whisperer. Whisperer claimed to know the location of a lost Apache gold mine, but his ramblings sounded more like madness than any coherent map. Roan Davies hadn't been seen in Copper Canyon for nearly a week, having fled after a particularly agitated speech at the Silver Spur Saloon. Silas Blackwood's death had stirred something unsettling in the town, a fear clinging to the dust and the desperation. Everyone was looking for someone to blame. Jedediah found Roan slumped against a scraggly juniper, a single, perfect desert bloom tucked behind his ear. He wasn't moving. Roan. Jedediah knelt, his joints protesting the damp chill. He checked the man's pulse, faint but present. What happened? Roan's eyes fluttered open, glazed with a feverish sheen. He tried to speak, but a gurgling sound escaped his lips. She showed me, he whispered, his voice raspy. The vow of the spirit, she protects it. Who protects it? Roan. Who are you talking about? Jedediah pressed, his hand on the man's throat. Roan's gaze drifted upwards, past Jedediah, to the towering Magdalen rim. Elara the valley sings to her then. His eyes closed again, his breath shallow and ragged. Jedediah felt a familiar tightening in his chest, a knot of unease that had been growing since Silas Blackwood's death. Everything in this territory seemed to circle back to Elara Thorne, the Yavapai woman who lived on the outskirts of town, her movements as mysterious and elusive as the desert winds. He's heard whispers, rumors of ancient knowledge, powerful magic, and a connection to the land that bordered on the supernatural. He's felt it too, the uncanny stillness that seemed to follow her, the way the desert animals hushed when she passed. Harding, Jedediah shouted, pulling out his signal horn. A deputy appeared a moment later, his face grim in the fading light. Get him to Hanks. He needs a doctor. Harding and another deputy helped Roan onto a makeshift stretcher, their movements careful, respectful. As they moved away, Jedediah noticed something peculiar, a faint, almost imperceptible scent lingering in the air, sandalwood, sweet and heady. It was a scent he associated with Elara Thorne. He stood, scanning the landscape. The rain had stopped, leaving a glistening sheen on the rocks and foliage. The wind picked up, rustling the leaves of the juniper. He saw a flicker of movement in the shadows of the Magdalen rim, a fleeting glimpse of a dark figure disappearing behind a cluster of boulders. He squinted, trying to make out who it was, but the figure vanished completely. He felt a sense of being watched, a prickling awareness that he was not alone. "Did you see that?" he asked Harding, his voice low. Harding shook his head. "See what, Marshal?" "Nothing," Jedediah muttered, dismissing it as a trick of the light. But the unease remained, a cold weight in his gut. He started back towards Copper Canyon, the setting sun casting long, distorted shadows across the land. As he reached the outskirts of town, he saw a small crowd gathered outside the Silver Spur Saloon, their faces etched with a mixture of fear and suspicion. He pushed his way through the crowd, his gaze sweeping over the faces of the townsfolk. He saw Mrs. Abernathy, her face pale and drawn, clucking nervously about her prize-winning hen. Gertrude. He saw Silas Blackwood's nephew, a young man named Caleb, staring blankly into the distance, his eyes red and swollen. He saw Elara Thorne standing on the veranda of her secluded camp, a silent, watchful presence overlooking the town. She didn't acknowledge his gaze, her expression unreadable. Inside the saloon, he found Sheriff Brody arguing with a nervous-looking bartender. He claims he saw a figure lurking near the Thorne camp, Marshal, Brody said, his voice gravelly, as it was tall dark, and vanished into the shadows. "Probably just another shadowed sheriff," Jedediah said, though he couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. "Maybe," Brody conceded. "But folks are on edge, Jedediah. They need reassurance." Just then, a commotion erupted outside. Jedediah pushed his way through the crowd and saw Caleb Blackwood confronting a man named Keller Walker's father. "You're the one who did this," Caleb shouted, his voice trembling with anger. "You and your Yavapai friends. You're the ones who murdered my uncle." "I didn't do anything," Keller protested, his face red with fury. "My son is innocent. He's been framed." Jedediah stepped between them, separating the two men. "Break it up, both of you," he commanded. "This ain't going nowhere good." As he calmed the two men, Jedediah caught sight of a small, silver amulet glinting on Keller's neck. It was an ancient Yavapai symbol, a stylized representation of the breath of the earth, a sacred relic stolen from a tribe years ago. Jedediah remembered Silas Blackwood's dealings, his illicit trade in rare herbs, ancient artifacts, and forgotten lore. He remembered Roan Davies' words, "She protects the valley," sings to her. He looked at Elara Thorne, standing silent and watchful on the veranda of her camp. The scent of sandalwood hung heavy in the air. He felt a cold certainty settle over him, a feeling that he stumbled into something far bigger and more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. The theft of the breath of the earth wasn't just about a stolen relic. It was about something deeper, something ancient, something that threatened to shatter the fragile peace of Copper Canyon. He knew, with a chilling clarity, that the storm was just beginning.